It's an hour session. And all right. So today what we're going to deal with is basically understanding IB in the right way before expertise. The reason being choosing this particular thing is when I often interact with teachers within my campuses, when I often interact with teachers beyond my campuses, those who are new to IB, those who have, here in IB, the first thing is people go directly into expertise of IB. Am I an expert in IB? I think the first thing, the foundation is to understand the IB philosophy in the right way so that expertise follows. So that's the whole idea behind it. And okay, so this is all about me. Okay, you know me, I'm Tannu Jain, and I am a trainer and I work at TIPS Learning and Research Institute. And it's an institute which provides training for teachers within the TIPS campuses as well as outside the TIPS campuses. We provide, so basically, if you ask me, who am I? I'm an inquirer. I love learning and growing, and it's like a lifelong learner. I am a trainer, I'm a certified trainer, I'm a teacher. I'm a collaborator. We are a small team of 4 to 5 people within TLRI who work together to bring you from here, from Erode. And then I'm a wife of a progressive man behind me and a mother of a teenager. All right, before I begin, I want you to open your chat box and reflect. I have attended the IB workshops. Most of you, or many of you must have attended an IB workshop, which is usually over a weekend. And yet, still I feel lost on a Monday morning. If you think yes, then kindly please type in the chat box yes. And if you can write, why do you say so? It'll be nice to know. Oh, many of you done category 1 workshops. Nice. Basically, what I'm doing is I'm seeing in my mobile to see the thing. Many of you have done category 1 workshop, which is nice, but still, how many of you have felt? Is it not audible yet? Is it audible?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. It's audible. All right. Thank you so much. I want to know how many, just raise your hand, how many of you have felt that even though completing some IB workshops, I still feel lost on a Monday morning. It's like, I'm not sure, though I know all my ATLs and I know all my learner profiles and I know all my action and I know all my themes, everything is there. See, some people are writing, yes, I do feel lost sometimes. Yes, sometimes I do feel that way. Okay, another question. Let's pause and IB is all about,
About IB.
somebody has raised a hand. Is there anything?
IB. No, no.
Okay. Okay, some are writing it's not about lost, it's about initiate inquiry in early years. Yes, early years is a challenging age group, which requires a different mindset to enter into the classroom. Absolutely agreed upon. So I wanted to pause and reflect, like IB is all about, you have a lot of meetings within your team, meetings with your reporting authority, meeting with your coordinator, meeting with parents, meeting with so many people. But here, what I'm looking into, you enter into an IB meeting with your coordinator or within your team or with your principal where you are planning. And then you secretly wonder what they meant. Have I understood it right? Has anybody gone through this feeling before? Miss Fatima, you're completely new to IB learning. That's completely okay. I mean, that's fine. No problem. Yes. See, many of you are agreeing, yes. We enter into the meeting. We still wonder, have I understood it right? See, most of you are agreeing it. This used to happen with me too. When I started around 13 years back as an IB educator. So now here, let's try to figure out, you have option A and option B. You have to use your chat box. I have given two scenarios. Students are making a working volcano model, and students are investigating why societies near volcano, which is more IB. And if you think it is more IB, you have to write the reason why it is more IB. You can write A hyphen because of this reason, or B hyphen because of this reason. Again, I want to say, which is more IB, option A or option B? And why do you think so? Option B, Miss Soumya says inquiry based. Option B. Option B, inquiry based. All right. We often say it is inquiry based. Yes, it is inquiry using the research skill. Inquiry based in correlation with daily life. Yes, inquiry based. And I state, yes, it moves from craft to decision making. If you say making a volcano is more towards craft, and if you say it's more towards decision making and understanding the human behavior. Yes, it's more towards real life. Yes, it's more towards transfer. It's more towards connection. Yes, it doesn't leave us to just doing an activity within the classroom. Okay, let's check another scenario. Identify nouns and verbs in a sentences and examine how authors use language to influence emotions and perspective. Which one is more IB? Many of you are writing B, but I still want to know why B? What makes this as IB? Okay, somebody is saying both. How many of you say both? Okay, Miss Tahira says, I think both. Identifying noun and verbs in a sentence is more IB. Examine how authors use, okay. All right. I would say grammar act as a tool, not a goal. The goal is student voice and perspective. Absolutely. Somebody has said this real life application. We need to understand grammar act as a tool. It's not a goal. Goal is students' voice and perspective. Miss Soumya, beautifully written. It also improves communication and they connect with people. Absolutely. Next one, which is more IB. Investigate what living things need to survive and what happens when needs are unmet. And plant a seed and watch it grow, which is more IB. Some are saying B, some are saying A, some are saying both. Okay. Uh, plant a seed and watch it grow is all about doing a task and an activity. Investigate what living things need to survive and what happens when needs are unmet. It's moving from observation to reasoning. If you just keep observing it, doesn't lead to IB, doesn't lead to transfer. As students are inquiring into how plants grow, when I say students are inquiring, plant a seed and watch it grow. What are you going to do with that watch it grow? A is more generic, B is more specific to just plants. Okay. It's both. Investigate what living things need to survive and what plants when needs are unmet. Plants need plant. Okay, now the same thing, I can do it with, instead of plant, if I have somewhere with animal, watch an animal grow, watch a plant grow, Look at the human being's growth, evolution or growth. Do you think it is still moving from observation to reasoning? I'm not saying we cannot ignore B. I'm not saying we cannot ignore B. B is required, but is it leading to transfer? Is it leading to thinking? I'm not saying B is not required. I do not mean IB is like you use a real life thing inside the classroom, you do an activity within the classroom. Till the time students, where are the students really thinking? My question is that. Where are the students really thinking? Are they thinking in watching the plants grow, or are they thinking when needs are met and when needs are unmet? Where are they thinking? B leads to thinking, but a very, very narrow. Very true. If you see over here, this is usually like learn community helpers. And then you learn about functions and responsibilities, which is more IB. Yes, most of you are saying A. I would say yes, because focus is on concept of responsibility rather than on the content. We need to understand this. Where is the focus within your inquiry? Is the focus on content coverage or is the focus on conceptual transfer? Are students busy in the classroom or are students busy thinking in the classroom? This is a two different scenarios. It cannot be same. Students might be busy in the classroom doing task by task after task after task. It's more in a completion mode. But are students busy thinking? Are students busy connecting? Are students busy transferring? That is where you have to consider and think. That's it. Again here, you memorize the causes of the war and you investigate why conflicts emerge when resources or power feel unequal. Yes, B. Because we are moving from students can now transfer to the modern geopolitics. By memorizing causes of war, they cannot transfer their learning. But if they investigate into conflicts, because conflicts happen throughout, they can transfer their learning into the real world. Solve 20 fraction problems and investigate how fractions help us make fair decisions. Absolutely. Because math is not numbers, math is relationship. The concept of relationships. IB is not about content coverage. IB is about conceptual transfer. I think many of you will see. So IB is about understanding. We need to move it from what do students do in the classroom to what they understand. It's about fostering deep comprehension, critical thinking, and meaningful connection across subjects and real world context. So if you go back, solve two fraction problems is what you're doing in the classroom, but investigate fraction help us to transfer the learning. That's where I come here from. Moving from what students do to what they understand. If you go back again here, memorizing is what they do in the classroom and investigating conflict is what they transfer, what they understand. Learning community helpers is what they do, but here it is what they transfer. So this is where the first you need to understand that IB is about understanding. That is first mindset check. IB is about not what students do in the classroom or what task a teacher has given in the classroom, but what they understand. It's about fostering deep comprehension, critical thinking, and meaningful connections. Right. So how do we do that? This is what I've been doing for a long period of time. I ask the question, so what? So in the classroom, when I say students have learned about magnets, so what? If the answer is weak, and if it is, then it is not conceptual. But if the answer is understanding forces help us design safer structures, then it is IB. Because if the learning cannot transfer to a new situation, it's probably not conceptual. The first mindset shift is when we are planning within the classroom. When we are planning within when we are planning within the classroom, it's important we have to check whether the learning students are able to transfer. When I say transfer, I always say transfer within the same subject, within different subjects, within different situations, within the school, outside the school. That is all okay. Even if it is within the same subject, but if it's a transfer, it's still IB. That's a mindset shift. So ask a question when you're designing an activity or a learning engagement within the classroom. Do you think will lead to transfer in a new situation? If not, it's not conceptual. IB is all about conceptual transfer. So if you have to do, it's a mindset shift here. If learning cannot transfer to a new situation, now, for example, growing a plant will not transfer to a new situation. But if I don't know about what are the needs of a living things, I can transfer it to a new situation. That's the idea. But I'm not saying content is not important. Content is the foundation, is the base, because content will help you to get concepts and then lead to transfer. But we need to move to that extra level, which is leading to IB learning. I always say this is the first mindset shift as an IB educator to check whether the learning which I'm giving in the classroom are students able to transfer, or is it still topical, or is it still topics which they are doing in the classroom. If it doesn't lead to transfer, then it's something we are not understanding IB clearly. So traditional thinking is more towards products and activities. Students create or perform in the class designed by the teacher. But IB is conceptual thinking. They explore, they articulate their thoughts. The exploration and articulation of the thoughts is only possible if we give uh, students that opportunity within the class, they are able to transfer. It moves from making to understanding. That's the major mindset shift is in the classroom. People say that I know about, I have I know about learner profiles. I know about all the PYP elements, which is my ADLs, my actions, my themes, my concepts. People use when we are designing, the inquiries within the classroom, you use key concepts or what we call it as specified concepts. But how many of you really check whether it is transferred or not? Whether the learning has transferred or not. So I really want to share that. Please check. That is a litmus check. Is the learning getting transferred? So what should I do? So what should I do? What should I ask myself is what chapters I have to move from, what chapters or topics do I need to finish to what patterns and principles are hidden inside the content? These are the set of questions have really changed the way I think, the way I design in my classroom. So if you want, you can take the screenshot. Anyway, recordings of the session will be there. But start moving away from, have I covered this particular chapter or a topic today? Does student know about this particular knowledge? To moving that, why this knowledge is important. What are the patterns and principles students can learn from this particular content? What will happen if the facts, people forget the facts? It's very easy, students forgetting, but what will remain? If the understanding is strong, even if they forget the facts, the understanding will still remain. They'll be still able to transfer. Let's do some fun activity. What thinking will students do within the classroom in this task, during this task? Let's do a group task for this. Many a times I say, I see in a group meeting when teachers say, okay, let's do a group activity. We'll have 4 groups. One will take one. But then do we check after giving the activity? Is the task causing students to analyze, connect, or just follow the steps? You have given this is step 1, answer this question. This is step 2, answer this question. This is step 3, answer this question. Do you have the evidence of learning of what students analyze and connect? Instead of you saying, I can explain this, are you allowing students to take decisions in the classroom? If your students can complete, students complete this without thinking deeply, and if yes, it's not inquiry. If they are not able to transfer, can students approach this in a multiple ways? Yes. If not, then they are not thinking. These are some of the questions I ask, or I used to ask during my meetings, or I used to think before planning. Because this is a mindset shift. It's not about content coverage. I am not against content coverage. Content coverage gives the breadth and it is important. Yes, many of you say that we maintain anecdotal records. Yes, we should maintain the anecdotal records of the students, but it is important what is there in your anecdote. Is it what students are doing, or is it what students are thinking, or is it what students are transferring, or is it what students are connecting? That's the question. Ms. Soumya, you have raised your hand. You have something
Yeah,
to
Tanu.
ask?
Yes. I understand that there are you have used the word transfer in many places.
Yes.
Can you just elaborate that transfer a little bit, please?
Okay. When I say it's learning is transferred, okay, let's go back to here. These examples, right? Now investigate how fractions help us make fair decisions. Yes?
Okay.
You are still learning fractions, but what is the
Mm-hmm.
focus? Decision making. Yes.
Mm.
So when I say decision making, you are learning fractions. Probably in the classroom, you will learn fractions through materials. But then students, when they do in a real life, if you ask them to use fractions to apply in real life, they will still, because they understand it's not about solving sums or fraction. These are the content, but it's about fair decision making. Am I able
Okay.
to make that fair decision? Can you see my students making that fair decision using the concept, using the understanding of fraction?
Fractions. Okay. So we will have to design the program or the concept of teaching fractions in such a way the thinking is being
Transferred.
diverted, yeah, transferred,
Yes.
focusing, taking fair decisions, or trying to help them understand something fair is called fractions.
Yes. Because that's how we use fractions in reality.
Yeah, true. Like, for example, they go out and they buy a pizza and there are 7 members. Suddenly, 2 other friends join. How do they make decision? What do they do?
Yes. See, sometimes when we say, have you learned fraction? Can you apply? Instead of that, through fraction,
Hmm.
have you learned decision making? Can you apply?
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
Right. See, if you see this one over here, investigate why conflicts emerge when resources or power feel unequal. Now, this is
Mm-hmm.
a bigger thing. Now, when we say within the classroom also, in a small thing, okay? If you say memorize the causes of all, you leave that. Investigate conflicts emerge when resources or power feel unequal. If you see within the classroom, you have divided the roles in the classroom, right?
Okay.
But if the students are able to understand that conflicts, when do conflicts emerge? When either the resources are less or power is unequal. Then I should know how to resolve it. That's my transfer.
Mm. Got it.
Now, yeah, if you see over here, plants. Plant a seed and watch it grow. In this,
Mm.
I'm not transferring anything. But if I know living things need to survive certain needs and wants, and if the needs and wants are unmet, there'll be a problem.
Mm.
I can learn through plants, I can transfer in animals, I can transfer in human beings.
Mm.
But if you stick only to plants It will only remain observation, not leaving to reasoning and transfer.
Knowledge transfer, you mean?
Yes. Knowledge transfer, yeah, connections, thinking.
Transferring it to the reality.
Yes, reality or within the subject. Now, if I have to go with this, now look at this grammar, right? Sometimes we ask students write a story or frame sentences. My point is not about framing sentences, and not mine is giving students a voice and a perspective. Students should develop their own voice as a communicator. Then only they'll be able to transfer that either in written or in oral. For that, I learn verbs and nouns. For that, I write stories and I learn the structure and the format.
Okay.
But if I do that, how will they do that? Because we are not pushing them to think in that logical way. That's IB. IB is not about you don't have books in the classroom. Teacher gives you certain things in the classroom. You complete and leaving it to chance. IB is very, very intentional. Yes?
Yeah.
I hope I have answered this question.
Yes, I got it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So that is the reason I always do this. So what? If I'm doing this task in the class, so what? Are they able to transfer it? Then fine. If they're not able to, I have to go back and redesign. They're growing plants in the class, so what? That's different. They're writing a story, so what? They're learning fractions, so what? If you think they're getting the correct answer, you're pushing them to that level, then that's the test. I call it as a golden test. So what test? So what? So that's why I always say you have topics, but you have to connect to concepts and intentionally create opportunities for transfer. That's IB learning. Transfer is intentional. Then
It
only
helps
inquiry
students
happens.
widen their thinking.
Yes, and that's what we want. As we go ahead, that's what we want, because we are living in such a changing world. We don't know. See, I'll tell you honestly, knowledge is everywhere. But what am I supposed to do with that knowledge? You have AI, you type, you get everything. Right now, also, you have AI. To be very honest, you have AI, you have social media. They will give you plethora of knowledge. But what am I supposed to do with that knowledge? How am I supposed to use with that knowledge? How will it help me and the people around me? That's the idea.
Yeah, it's like you have all the skills. How do you market your skills, or how do you monetize the skills that you have?
Absolutely.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. Thank you for asking. So that's the reason these questions help when you're in planning, right? Because many a times, the reason why am I saying is, many a times, most of our unit of inquiries are content heavy. Because somewhere down the line, we align with our, national curriculum requirements and other requirements. But what makes it different is how we use this content to bring about the transfer. That's IB. That is where is a mindset shift. I am going to use the content. I'm not saying we are not using the content. Content is important. Facts are important. Without facts, I cannot learn concepts. But what is my design thinking? What is the questions I'm asking around my facts so that it moves from content coverage to conceptual understanding and leading to transfer? So these were the questions I usually ask when I'm there in the classroom, or when I see my classroom, when I reflect within my classroom, when I reflect in my units, end of the unit, during the unit. Is it still remain topical? Students are still topical. Are they still moving around facts? Are they moving to thinking? Are they moving to change? Is what I think about. If not, I redo it. I redesign it. I'm not against content, but how are you using the content is the idea. That's the first mindset shift you need to enter when you enter as an IB teacher. That gives you confidence. All your ATLs, all your themes will fall into place if you understand this very core, that this is a mindset shift. Things will fall into place automatically. Otherwise, sometimes people get overwhelmed by so much of jargons. Honestly, with IB being there. So after planning, ask, will students think? Will students connect to real life? Will students transfer? If the answer is no, redesign. When I say transfer, transfer can be within the classroom, beyond the classroom, within the subject, beyond the subject. Doesn't matter. So, okay. Anybody still has any question you want me to check or you want me to answer about think, connect, and transfer? Because these are very, very important concepts in terms of understanding an IB mindset shift. Because if you enter into a IB meeting, if you enter into an IB classroom, what gives you that confidence is, can I collect the evidence my students are thinking? When I say thinking, I mean, okay, are they making connections? Are they comparing properly and giving the solution? Are they reasoning out? Or they just busy doing what I have given it? Some people are asking VTRs. Yes, VTRs are wonderful tools to use, thinking visible. But again, I would like to say, use VTR effectively, not as an activity. I would again say use VTR, visible thinking routines, use VTR, not as an activity. You come today, you finish. I have given, for example, see, think, wonder is the most, please share examples. Currently, I do not have in my slide, but I would still like to say when I say see, think, wonder, right? I have given you, I have taken you to a nature, or I've given you an image and I do see, think, wonder. What do you see? What do you think? And what do you wonder? Right? So what do you see? So I say that, what do you, for example, I have shown you a picture of a, let me just stop sharing and open a image for this purpose. I'm sorry, just give me a minute because I'm just actually adding this because somebody has asked for it. Okay. Okay, I'm sharing my screen once again. Okay, let's do a see, think, wonder. This is an artifact. You will have multiple strategies teaching measurements in math. You will have, okay. If you see this, normally what we do is we keep certain artifacts or we create a provocation table. We ask students, what do you see? What do you think? And what do you wonder when you see these materials or when you see these images? Yes. This task usually you see students are making some connections. Okay, this is an artifact. This is a jar. It is from the historical reason, from a historical period, and all those things. You will see that. Students will answer that. Now, sometimes what I do is I ask students, now look at the color. Now see the color again and try to think again, what is happening? What type of colors have been used and why? And then students rethink, see, think, wonder. And then I again ask, look at the shape and the design and think. Look at the images and think. What do you think is the story happening here and why? Have you seen something like this anywhere in your home or anywhere else? VTRs are sometimes have to be questioned again and again within the classroom to become like a thinking pattern. It's not like one activity you do and it just get over. VTRs are not meant for that. VTRs, even if you choose 5 VTRs, it's okay. But those VTRs should be used regularly and again. That becomes should be a thinking routine, right? Because that's the name itself suggests visible thinking routines. So if you want the VTR to become a routine of thinking, we need to have a strategically way of questioning, which is very important aspect of a VTR. You need to question students effectively. You need to listen to their questions effectively. You need to look into the documentation effectively so that you can really figure out what are they thinking. And if they are not able to think in that way, what questions you will ask around it to nudge your thinking. That's how VTR works. We can use VTR as a prior knowledge, yes, but even to check your prior knowledge, sometimes students will not understand in what context. You can nudge their thinking a little. You can definitely nudge their thinking a little. Look at the color, look at the shape, look at the design, look at the image. What do you think it shows us? What do you think is the cultural background to this? Because these are the concepts we want to know whether they know it or not so that we can design and plan further. That is where I come over here to ask redesign. Will students think? Will students connect? Will students transfer? So if you ask appropriate questions to think, they will think well. It will lead to connections. It all depends how are you asking those guiding questions. As an educator, this is a mindset shift. We always say IB doesn't give answers. Yes, true. It's not about IB giving answers. It's about inquiry. Yes. But what I'm trying to make you understand is it's about how we nudge their thinking, how we push them to connect and transfer. And transfer will only happen if you are connecting it to the proper concepts. If you still keep it to content and topic, transfer might not happen. That is where I'm coming into picture. So when I say understanding IB in the right way, the first thing is the major mindset shift is, I always say is, it's not the curriculum shift, it's an identity shift. When I say identity shift, what is your role as a teacher? People say it's facilitator. How well we understand what do you mean by facilitating? Yes. When I say, we focus on learner profiles, how are you modeling those learner profiles? For me, I always think those 10 learner profiles is how am I modeling, is my mindset thinking in the classroom. Am I able to model them to be a communicator? Am I able to model them to be a reflector? Am I able to model them to be a balanced person? Am I able to? Because if I'm able to model them, that's how we work ahead with. Because when I model this, when I think it's a belief, yes, students can think, connect, and transfer. It's not about teacher has to do major part of the work. It's not that completely teacher guided. It's IB. So first thing is, before even entering into expertise of IB or before even entering into, okay, my coordinator has told me that I have to write anecdotal notes. Understand what is the purpose of anecdotal notes and what has to be documented. When I say, sometimes people say that is a conceptual transfer happening, is students thinking, you need to understand and look evidences, are they busy moving around, busy completing, or are they really busy reflecting? Are they really busy connecting? If not, redesign. Six hat strategy is, Miss Noreen, six hat strategy is also good. The only thing is we need to understand that when you do a six hat strategy, it will take its longer time and you have to revisit it. And it is not necessary to use all the hats. Thinking routines, thinking hats, thinking gears, thinking keys are wonderful, wonderful tools to bring about thinking in the classroom. But don't use it like a activity in the classroom. I think the very first thing we need to understand is it's not about activity, it's about engagement. It's not about activity, it's about learning engagement. How are we engaging students to think, to connect, to transfer? It's not about activity that gets completed. So that first language nomenclature shift will help you to make shift in your mindset. That is the reason many a times when I see interact with people or IB educators, they feel certain times, the classroom is really engaging and certain times it is not. Yes. And then they do not really understand why it is the way it is. Because you need to check and think and connect and transfer. If not, redesign. Now, after listening to all these things, I want you to self-assess yourself, in IB readiness. How much are you IB ready? To be confident in the classroom, entering into the meetings with the classroom, uh, understanding the way we design, understanding the way we do. So how familiar with principles? Do I understand the inquiry-based learning approach clearly now? It's not about activities again. Am I prepared to foster students' agency? Yes, reflect on your answers and rate yourself from 1 to 10. I want you to open and just rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. How much IB ready are you? Okay. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 means the low, I'm not confident, to 10 means I'm extremely confident. Some are writing 6, some are writing 7. Good. 5, 6, 5, 6, 3, 5. See, there's nothing wrong in it. It's okay. 6, 5, 5, 4, 5. Very new to IB. Wonderful. No problem. Absolutely okay. 4. Okay. No problem. Okay. Do you want to be 9? Yes, IB practices keep changing. We have to keep evolve ourselves. Yes. But then before even evolving ourselves, we have to first, as a teacher, as an educator, we have to first evolve our mindset before even entering into the IB world confidently. Of course. Everyone uses big words. You copy planners. Sometimes I see people in various groups asking, can you share those activities? Can you share a planner? But we need to really understand this. Planning is a process. And it cannot be copied. It cannot be duplicated. Every planner is a process. Inquiry is a process. It cannot be duplicated. Somebody's planner copied by somebody. Doesn't work. You can have, people will have list of strategies shared with you, but we need to align with what we want students to think around. Yes, many a times it happens that I have 5 skills and I'm saying that, okay, I'll do a group activity and it is collaboration, social skill. But that may not be my target, but are you really teaching that social skills? Or just because you have given a group activity means a social skill? That is where it lies. Skills have to be taught. How do you teach those skills? I'll help you doing that. Skills is your targeted skills have to be taught. So you walk into meetings prepared, you understand the philosophy, planning feels purposeful, interviews becomes easier. So what I'm going to give you is completely a basic roadmap to be a confident IB educator with a clear mindset and understanding of the IB so that you become an inquirer within yourself to grow with a clear mindset is the idea. So as I always say, IB is not a curriculum shift, but an identity shift, right? So with this, I